Good afternoon. It's a little early. But I am Bruce Leonard, and this is Bruce Leonard Leans Left while it's still legal. I believe it's still legal today. We gotta make a check every day, every hour. You never know what's gonna happen. It is Saturday, June 7th, 2025, in the year of our orange Emperor Trump. And as usual, a lot is going on. I'd like to start by thanking all of you because I got a message from YouTube. Well, I didn't get a message. I finally downloaded the YouTube Studio. And so I have advanced analytics. And I can, and I got a message last week. It said, congratulations, your channel has got, there was like 14,800 views, something like that. At the bottom it said, hey Julia, it said, you got almost 15,000 views, more than your usual 5 to 60. So it's blown up all of a sudden. I don't know why. But I mean, I do know why because I've been putting work into it. But it was just funny. It's like you went from 5 to 60 to 15,000 last week. Congratulations. It was like that day I got the cup in the chat box. It was like, congratulations, you got 100 messages today. It was like a little cup. Anyway, I just want to thank all of you because without you, this wouldn't be happening. So thank you for being here. And as usual, I said a lot of things are happening. I don't know if you've if you're following. Like I said, I watch the news, so you don't fucking have to, I guess. And yes, thank you, Julia. The shorts are working. Yes. But anyway, I don't know if you know, but the man they said would never come back to America ever again, Abrego Garcia, is now back in America. But he's in shithole Tennessee, which is like, Do you really want to come back to Tennessee? He's like, can you just take me back to Seacott prison, please? I'd much rather go there than Tennessee. Unless you're going to Nashville. Or Memphis. You want to listen to some music. But if you're going to Memphis for anything other than listening to music, you probably don't want to do that either. or go to Graceland, which I've been. I mean, it's cool, but I don't know if it's worth it just going to Memphis for that. If you go to Memphis, go to Graceland and go listen to some blues music. If you do that, you'll have a good time in Memphis. But if you go looking for something else, you're not gonna find. You're not gonna find much. Not a big happy town. Anyway, so Garcia's back. But here's the deal. They brought him back because they filed an indictment against him for human smuggling, human trafficking, which is weird because when they sent him to Seacott prison, he did not have a case. So here's what happened. They illegally deported the guy, violated his due process rights, sent him to Seacott prison. They were ordered by multiple courts and the Supreme Court to bring him back. And they said, no, we're not bringing him back. We're never going to bring him back. We're not bringing him back. And then all of a sudden, they go, all right, we're bringing him back, but there's an indictment. All of a sudden. Julia says her mom's final wishes were to have her ashes dumped at Graceland. Haven't made it yet. You should go. You can dump him right there, right. He's buried there. So you can put your mom right next to the king. Right there, right by him. I don't know if that, how legal that is, but you can try. So here's what happened, right? If you don't remember, when Abrego Garcia was first arrested, they tried to paint him like he was such a terrible person, blah blah, and when the media started catching on to this story, and he became a lightning rod for this situation. They tried to bury his name in the press, if you don't remember, and then they dug out everything they could find, and they dug out this traffic stop that happened in 2022 in Tennessee, where he had some other immigrants in the car with them. Nothing happened from that. They claimed that they called the FBI, but the FBI didn't do anything about it, and there really wasn't. If they did investigate, they didn't think there was much to it, and they let it go. So they brought it up to try to say, look, he's a terrible person. What, because he's giving some guys a ride in his car? I mean, I don't really know what that was all about. And then they're like, oh, he had an argument with his wife. And look, he's a wife beater. Like, they tried their best to make him look, because he's not a gang member. Julie said she decided to use the Great Escape as inspiration to dump her ashes down the pant leg. She loved that. Yeah, like right over Elvis's grave, like I said. Right? So no one will see you doing it, but you can just like shake them right out. And she could be there with the king. Because his grave is right there. It's just... Anyway, so they tried to make him look like a bad guy, of course. And they tried to dig up any little thing they could about him. But there was no charges and there was no case. Now all of a sudden, the grand jury has returned an indictment. And the indictment is 2 charges. I can't remember the second one. It's like human smuggling and trafficking. I really should have pulled up the entire indictment, but anyway, that's the 2 charges are all that's there, right? So then Pam Bondi goes on the TV, and she says, "Oh, we brought him back, and he's charged with trafficking." But he's also been involved in murders with MS-13, and he's also tried to solicit child pornography from someone, and he's transferred minors for whatever reason. But none of this is in the indictment. None of them. None of it is in the indictment that they've had. She just spouted all this shit off in the press conference, which tells you that this is all about slurring his name and making him out to be as bad of a fucking person as he can be. Now, I don't know, much about the guy. It's like the senator said, this was never about him. It's about your constitutional rights. And the fact that they're trying to take them away from you. And if you let them take them away from this guy, they can take them away from you. So what the real discussion is about the Constitution and your constitutional rights to due process. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about how bad this guy is and that it's okay that they violated his rights because he's a terrible human being and a piece of shit and he's a danger to society and therefore they need to be allowed to do whatever they want to get rid of these people. Now, like I said, I can't speak to what kind of person he is because I don't know that much about him. But I'll tell you this much. If they knew that he was involved in murders and child pornography and all this other shit, then why didn't they indict him for it? Why didn't they charge him for these crimes? Secondly, what kind of fucking attorney goes on TV and says a bunch of shit that they're not even charging you, disparages you before you even get to a trial. You think that that is not prejudicial in any way? Like, the Department of Justice own guidelines. She completely violated her own. Here, the Justice Department, Section 17.700 of the Justice Department Code of Conduct says, A, press conferences should be held only for significant newsworthy actions or if an important law enforcement purpose would be served. Before holding a press conference or making comments on a pending investigation regarding another DOJ component, the U.S. Attorney or the Assistant Attorney General should coordinate any comments, including written statements, with the affected component. B, and this is where it's important, the circumstances when media contact may be appropriate after indictment or other formal charge, but before conviction. In such cases, communications with the media should be limited to the information contained in publicly available material, such as an indictment or other public pleadings. It's a press conference for the Department of Justice. It's not a fucking Fox News Channel show. You can't just go on there and start saying all this fucking shit about this guy that ain't in the charges. If he's a murderer, you're charging him with murder, then you say that. You don't say, oh, we're charging this guy with trespassing, but also he killed. It's like, you can't say the guy killed a bunch of people, but you're not charging him for that. You're charging him for jaywalking because he crossed the street wrong after he killed these people. That's not what she did. What she did was went on TV and was like, she was on the fucking Sean Hannity show. And she's the Attorney General of the United States. Which proves to you that this is nothing but an attempt to make this guy seem like the devil, the worst person that you could possibly find. And that, like I said, and that they were justified in violating his civil rights and ignoring court orders and all the other fucking things that they've done. I don't know what the third paragraph is. See, the third paragraph right after that says, DOJ personnel must avoid making public statements that violate DOJ guidelines, which is fucking exactly what she did. Regulations or legal requirements, including those imposed by case law, applicable bar policies, and the court rules. She violated her own code of conduct, and she's the Attorney General of the United States. Which proves to you, like I said, first of all, if you think for 1 second that them reverse engineering some bullshit charges against this guy is cool, then you're fucked up. Because you have no idea how much danger you're in. They can do that to anybody. That means they can just decide that they don't like you. They could just cook up some bullshit case against you. You know what the evidence is in the indictment? 6 unnamed co-conspirators. Which means all they had to do was go to federal prison and find and tell 6 people that they'd take some time off their sentence if they said whatever they wanted them to say about this fucking guy. They ain't got no real evidence that he did anything. And then she was like, oh, we were able to break up this terrible trafficking ring. And you're like, they never said anything about that. You think if they broke up some big giant human trafficking ring that wouldn't be all over the fucking TV and they wouldn't be fucking bragging about that? Like, no. The entire story is made up. And yes, Julia, the Florida Bar Association is bringing her on charges. They filed a complaint against her. I don't know how that all works. But yes, the Florida Bar Association filed a complaint against her. She's a 2-bit hack. She's not even, like I said, she violated her own thing. And where's the charges that she said she was bringing on? Remember, she said she was going to charge these. I can't remember, it was a while back. She said she was going to charge somebody, the governor of some state. She's going to charge them with some charges, and that never even happened. They're running this country like it's a Fox News show. Like I said, like they're on Sean Hannity all the time or something. And like, you can't believe anything these people say. Now, is Abrego Garcia a good dude? I don't know. I'm not here to say that. It's not my place to say. But you know what's going to happen? We're going to find out, ain't we? They're going to go to court with a jury where they have to actually provide evidence to convince you of this guy's guilt. And and they don't have any. You realize how many times, if you've been following these cases, all these cases the Trump administration is in, how many times judges have like laughed at them and said, you're full of shit. Like they just go into court with all these bullshit lies, and it doesn't work like that in real life. And then when the judge rules against them, they go, oh, these are activist judges. They're left-wing activist judges. It's like, no, like you can't go to court with no evidence. It's just like when they go in front of the Congress, when they get congressional hearings, they do the same shit. They try to portray their bullshit lies. This is how stupid they are. I don't know if you saw this, but Howard Lutnick was testifying in front of Congress about the tariffs, and this woman was asking him, what's the tariffs on bananas? And he says, it's like every other country, it's like 10%. He's like, well, you're aware, right, that Walmart has already raised their banana price 8% to make up for this tariff, like, so you're raising the prices. And he interrupts her, goes, hey, I just need to make this point. He's like, if you make stuff in America, then there won't be no tariff. He's like, we can't make bananas. You can't grow bananas in America. It's fucking impossible. They're fucking idiots. They don't know nothing about nothing. I guess that this shatters the myth that, that all rich people are smart. That these guys get all kinds of money. They don't know shit about nothing. Yeah, Julius is all performing for the mega base because they know the folks who believe they're bullshit. Yeah, but that doesn't... My point is, that don't jive in court. Like I said, you can't go into court like you're on Sean Hannity. The judge and the jury, they want some fucking evidence. You can't just say, oh, 6 people, 6 unnamed people that we found in prisons all over, they said that this stuff happened. Okay. Where's the evidence to back this up? Well, we don't have any. We assure you that it happened. It's like, you fucking kidding me, man? Really? This is where the rubber meets the road for these people. And see, that's what the thing is. They couldn't just bring them back. See, it goes all the way back to Trump. And the Roy Cohn thing is never say you're wrong, always accuse and attack, and never admit anything, even if it's a legitimate error. You just say, oh, we made a mistake, we're sorry, we're going to bring it back. That could have been it. That could have been the end of it. But no, they dug in and made this a big fucking deal. And then they didn't want to fucking submit to the authority of the courts. And then they're like, all right, I think that he knew he was all the way at the edge of the cliff. And, it was a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling that told him that he has to bring him back. And they said, well, I guess it's all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said we got to bring him back. So, he realized then, like I told you an episode or two ago on this very show, that this one you're going to have a real constitutional crisis if he ignores the Supreme Court. So, and he knew that too. So he knows he can only go so far. And he's gone as far as he can go in this situation. And he's like, well, we got to bring him back, but we're not just going to bring him back and say we're sorry, because that's not the way. It's like the Trump way, which is the Roy Cohn way, which is, like I said, to never admit fault, never and always attack. So what he told him, hey, you find something about this guy. We need to bring him back and charge him with some crime, and then they didn't have nothing except for that traffic stop. So they turned the traffic stop into an internet conspiracy theory. That, he's driving undocumented immigrants up from Texas all the way, all over the country for all this time, but somehow he's managed to hold a construction job or whatever he does all these years. And they couldn't come up with anything else. That's all they had. So they had to invent this story, charge him. And then she goes on TV and says all this other stuff. That he's a member of MS-13. They train children to be murderers. That's what she says. Now, does MS-13 do that? Sure. But is he MS-13? That's always been their contention. They have never had any proof that he actually was. See, that's what they do. Is I said, I told you all the time, all the right-wing bullshit always has a kernel of truth. And the kernel of truth in this situation is, yes, MS-13 is fucking horrible. They're fucking terrible. And anyone that's in MS-13 that you could prove was actually in MS-13, like I said many times, you could send them down to the CCOT fucking prison, and I don't give a shit. But they never proved that Abrego Garcia was in MS-13. Even the judges, they lie about what the judges said, because even the judges in the court record said that the government didn't really have any evidence that he was in MS-13. It was all a bunch of fucking ridiculous, bullshit implication. Or, some other fucking criminal said, oh, yeah, he's in... And these people, like I said, they're always trying to get their own sentences knocked down or make a deal with the fucking court to get out of whatever the charges they are. They'll say whatever they want. This happens all the time. Now we're going to get to the real crux of this story. When they went to file these charges in Tennessee, the lead prosecutor for the Justice Department, who's been working there for 15 years, resigned. Because he says, well, I don't have quotes, but he resigned because he said, there's not a case here. You're just bringing this case for political reasons. And in his resignation letter, he didn't say that, but he said, for 15 years I worked here where the mission was to do the right thing for the right reasons. He knows this is a railroad job. It's a bullshit reverse engineered, I said, railroad job. What happens if Abrego Garcia goes to court on these charges and is acquitted by a jury? What happens then? To Pam Bondi, people that did this. You don't understand. I mean, like I said, the very fact that these people are allowed to get away with this backs up my assertion that I make and have said all the time, is that this system is too weak to protect itself from people like this. We need to strengthen the system. Like people like she should be the one going to CCOT prison. What she's doing is pure fucking evil. And just because you're hiding behind authority doesn't make you any less evil. Julia says, just like the evidence Rudy and Mike Pillow claimed to have about the 2020 election. Yeah, that's happening right now. They asked him, did he have any proof that in this defamation trial? Wait, listen to this. I don't know if you know this, but Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, he's on trial right now for defamation. If you don't know what defamation is, it's when you say something bad about somebody that ain't true. which defames their character, and in this case, costs the company money. Dominion Voting Systems or whoever it is that's suing them. So, in a defamation trial, they said their defense was he didn't do anything. All he did was talk. Yes, that's the fucking crime. It's like, all he did was talk. Yes, and defamed these people. It's like, what the fuck? And again, he was like, you grow up your whole life, you go, all lawyers and doctors, they must be the smartest people on earth. You got to go to school for 12 years or however long to get a law degree or just a medical degree or whatever, right? And you got to pass the bar exam and all that shit. And then you hear these attorneys who are attorneys talk, and you're like, they're fucking idiots. What kind of lawyers says in a defamation trial, all my client did was talk? Yes, and that's why he's in trouble. They said, do you have any evidence that the 2020 election was rigged? No. It's like, he's on trial for saying it. All I did was talk. Yes. And defamed the character of Dominion Voting by insinuating that whatever he insinuated, that they work for the Chinese or whoever they work for, or Biden paid them off, or, I don't know what the fuck his assertion is. They don't have an assertion except that Trump lost. That he shouldn't have lost. And that's why it's kind of been rigged. It's like yesterday, Trump says, a local judge is trying to run the country. He's trying to, a local judge, this is a federal judge, mind you. It's not a local judge. It's not like some fucking hobunked county judge in Arkansas, like, told him to bring back Abrego Garcia. This is a federal district court judge. In Washington, D.C. So it's not a local fucking judge. It's called a federal judge, which means he has jurisdiction over the United States. Now it's a district, so however big that district is, but multiple states are in it, I'm sure. Ain't a local judge. And second of all, that's what judges are for. Make sure you ain't breaking the fucking law. Trump just doesn't like being told what to do. He wants to do whatever he wants. He thinks he's the king. He's about to have his parade next week. The Dear Leader Parade. It's going to be great. They showed all these tanks and shit leaving out Texas and going to Washington to tear up the fucking streets. They said it could cost $16 to $20 million worth of damage that these tanks will do to the streets. They're going to have to repair. And if you drive around, and that's where you live, then you can be driving around the road because it's a fucking stupid parade. It costs fucking $500 million. The very fact that we're here right now is and Elon Musk. Let me get back to that. I don't know, because I was here the first day it happened, but the second day, I don't know if you saw, Trump was like, well, maybe I'll take away his contracts. And then Musk was like, well, I'll decommission the Dragon, which means that they can't get to the space station, so whoever's there will be stranded, and they can't send up any. And who shoots the satellites into space? SpaceX. It's like, it's unbelievable that the country now is in like they let Musk take over where NASA used to handle all this shit. They gave it all the way to Elon Musk. And now Elon Musk and the president are beefing. So the national security of this country is in the hands of two man babies who are having a fight, a schoolyard fight on fucking Twitter. This country is a fucking embarrassment to humanity itself. At this point, it's pretty bad. And they're all walking around. We're respected again. This is how stupid they are, these people. Okay? Now, I want you to understand. Tim Pool, if you don't know who Tim Pool is, he's a podcaster, right-wing influencer. He's the guy that always wears the beanie cap everywhere he goes. He looks like a character out of the Archie comics from the 1950s. He's got a windbreaker on, and he looks like Jughead. Anyway, how did he become a right-wing influencer? Because he took like $10 million in Russian money. He's one of these Russian finance nutlickers. And he puts out regularly ridiculous, the most dumb fucking takes on anything you could imagine. And here's what he says. Verbatim. Tim Pool. Trump has never made a mistake because he is the nexus of intelligence. Whether it is correct is solely based upon whether Trump affirms it to be. If he says it is, then it is. That, my friends, is manga. In a nutshell, right there. They believe anything he says, no matter how ridiculous or how stupid. No matter how easily proven that what he's saying is bullshit. Doesn't matter. If he says it, then it is. Because they have invented their own reality that they live in a fantasy. Floating along a river of bullshit, lies, and propaganda. Julia says, I'm pissed about Palantir, whatever it's called, having all our personal financial data could easily empty our bank accounts. Yeah, Peter Thiel. I talked about that the other day. Peter Thiel is the shadow lord of all this. The guy you never hear about. But he's there. He's the real man behind the curtain. Elon Musk and Trump, they're like the big distractions. You know that people used to say that all the time? People used to say, and it was a big conspiracy. Where, they say, these industrialists, they really run the country, and the president is just a puppet that they push out there to distract you from the fact that they're running the world from some back room. Right? Well, this is telling you that is the case. Who's running the world right now, really? Peter Thiel. He made J.D. Vance. He's friends with Musk, been for a long time. Him and Musk founded PayPal together way back in the day, where it all started, where they got their money. Musk got forced out of PayPal just like he does everything everywhere else because he's too erratic and unpredictable. He starts fights with people and shit. He's on drugs all the time. So he was forced out of PayPal, and Peter Thiel took over. And then Peter Thiel has quietly been orchestrating a lot of this stuff. Quietly financing mega for all these years. I said he found J.D. Vance at Yale, and Yes, another fucking apartheid cunt. Yes, another South African. A lot of these South Africans. Yes, and they don't believe in democracy. And why do you think that is? Why do you think they want this unitary executive theory? Because it's easier to control one dude. Democracy is hard to control. That's the one thing that this system was about. Like, I mean, they still manage to kind of control it, but there's a lot of congressmen, a lot of senators, and they used to have power. But they've given all that power up because the Republicans believe this unitary thing, so they're all in lockstep behind the unitary president. And they managed to stack the Supreme Court with people who believe this bullshit. So they just keep giving him a green light to do whatever he wants. And they want to abolish the whole thing. They want a unitary executive that they could control. And yes, racism and greed, Julia says. Yes. Unfortunately, that's a big ingredient of it. But it's my opinion, like I said, that it's easier to control one guy. If there's a unitary executive, you can get a hold of that guy. You can buy him, or you can threaten him, or whatever you want. But if you can control that one guy, you can control the government. Hard to do that with the Congress and the Senate, and that's actually working, and all these judges in your judicial branch. That's why they said that they're going to stop using the Bar Association to screen judge candidates, because they're going to stack the courts with a bunch of pathetic nutlickers that believe in the unitary executive theory as well. That way the president will just win all these cases. And basically neutering the other branch. And they already have the Congress in their pocket. See, this is the part that you have to understand. This is almost the end of this country as you know it. And the next, I know it sounds hyperbolic to say that, but I've been saying this for 10 years, and the only thing that stopped it from happening the first time was all the people in the government who stopped him. Reelecting him was the worst possible fucking thing you could have ever done. I said they should have impeached him and would have barred him from ever running for office again. And now would have hurt some of those Republicans? Maybe in the short term, but they would have gotten over it. Somebody else would have rose up, Ron DeSantis or, one of these people. But it wouldn't have been Trump. Trump is the single most dangerous person to ever hold power in this country, in my opinion. I mean, people might say, Andrew Jackson, or I'm sure there's others that you could throw up, but I personally don't think even Andrew Jackson would have sold us out to our enemy. Trump has no scruples, no morals. He's a complete sociopathic narcissist. He's one step away from being a serial killer. And I'm not kidding. He's that self-absorbed. He's that into himself. The man has himself on his phone. Who the fuck is Trump's lock screen is a picture of Trump. That says everything you need to know about this person. I mean, besides the fact that only a complete douchebag would do something like that. It's like when people wear their own t-shirt. Like I'm a comedian. I have t-shirts. I sell them. I don't wear my own t-shirt. Because that's a douchebag move. Only a douchebag would wear his own t-shirt. Yeah, Julie says, how about the Trump loyalty test for any new government hires out of Thruster P25? Yeah. No, they have to write an essay about how much they love Donald Trump. I swear. Yeah, you might think I'm making this up, but I'm not. You have to write a glowing essay about how Donald Trump is the most wonderful man on the planet. And then without him, you would be nothing. Imagine if you went to get a job anywhere, fucking Enterprise car rental or something, and the guy was like, all right then, after the interview, he's like, I really like you. I think you have a future here. Now what I need you to do is go out in the lobby and write 500 words about how I'm the most amazing person you've ever met. He'd be like, I don't think I want to fucking work here. Really? You want me to do what? I need a job, but not that bad. Like, what's next? You want me to just go ahead and blow you now? It's like, and where they find all these people that ain't got no dignity. See, that's the real problem. You ain't got no dignity. You ain't got no self-respect if you fucking, if you let yourself grovel in front of another person like this. This is why I never advanced in the corporate world. I mean, I did advance, even though I told him I'm only going this far up. And I ain't kissing no one's ass to get there either. And when I think something is fucking stupid, I'm going to tell you, this is fucking stupid. Now, I'll do it because it's your business. And then you run it how you want. But I'll be like, this is fucking dumb. And it's not going to work. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right. And when they come back like months later and they go, they're canceling this stupid program they came up with. And I said, what did I say when they put it up? I know you said it wasn't going to work. It's like, you need me in the office telling them this dumbass shit that you're fucking proposing ain't going to work. And I don't know if you noticed this, but the tariff prices are starting to kick in. You're going to, like I said last time on the show, you're going to start feeling it in your own pockets. Coming up now. So get ready. You voted for this. You wanted this. They said China, I read a thing today, just like I've been talking about, China is buying up gold, a lot of gold. China buying gold. Why is that? I told you, these countries are shoring up for the possible. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, like I said before. It's not a 100% certainty, but these countries are preparing for the eventual possibility that the dollar collapses. Dollar's been on a downward spiral ever since January. It ain't getting no better. People are selling off the bonds, and they're about to run another $4 trillion debt. We no longer have our A credit rating. We're in trouble. And the average person doesn't seem to understand all this stuff. Here's the part that I don't get, is they've fucked up every possible thing. Every possible thing. They're fucking up the economy, right? This economy's crashing. And you're letting them fucking take away your rights at the same time. It'd be one thing if they were like, well, we're going to trample on the Constitution, but we got a lot of good ideas how to run this country and make it more efficient, make it better, and all the economic trends were like going in the positive direction, and stuff was getting cheaper and all the things that they fucking told you. But that ain't the case. You're paying more for shit. They're not, the jobs are not, the manufacturing sector is going down. I thought the point of the tariffs is to bring manufacturing back. So why is manufacturing dropping off? Because it ain't going to work. That's why. It's a bullshit pipe dream. It's a fever dream run by idiots and nutlickers. They think that Donald Trump knows everything about everything, and he doesn't know shit about nothing. And they're like, oh, well, like Tim Pool, he said it, it must be true. Dude, he says all kinds of things that are ridiculous bullshit that aren't true. He shows pictures of the Congo and tells you it's South Africa. You think you trust this person? He's an old man who gets duped by internet conspiracy theories. And everybody's acting like this is just par for the course. You know, this is normal. Is this our new normal? And like, is it? As if it is, I don't know if I want to be a part of it. And like I've said, man, to get back, I got on a tangent again. That happens to me all the time. I'm going to go back around to what I was saying. My point is, this is it. In 2 years, well, a year and a half, there's a midterm election. And if we don't turn over the Congress and the Senate, we're doomed. Because he's not going to leave office if they still control the Congress. And they're going to rubber stamp him staying. And then we're going to have a serious problem. Here's the deal, and this is true. If you flip the Congress and the Senate and vote out all these fucking nutlickers and put Democrats in, we can impeach and remove this motherfucker from office and bury him as he should have been buried a long fucking time ago. Halfway through his presidency, we ain't got to wait 4 fucking years. Yes, Julia says it's like an extremely aggressive cancerous tumor that has tentacles that infiltrate every tissue in the body, permeate every aspect of the government and how things work. Sand in the gears, yes. It's the other guy, Russell Vought, that little fucking weasel fuck. He's the author of Project 2025, and he's the one also, him and Thiel are behind the curtain. Those are the 2 guys you hardly ever hear about. Now, Vought does pop out every now and then and do an interview on TV or something. But Theo does not. But those 2 are the ones. Those are the brains of this operation. The problem is, everybody they got working for them is fucking idiots. And Trump is their vehicle, and he's hard to control, you know. I'm sure that if you ask Peter Thiel behind closed doors, he'd tell you that this tariff thing is fucking stupid too. But Trump's got to have his, you know, you got to keep feeding him that vision that he's actually the king. He can do anything he wants. Because that's what keeps him going. Anyway, they said Abrego Garcia would never be back in the United States, and he is, which says to you that, like I said, there's only so far that they're willing to go right now. I don't believe that they expected the pushback from the Supreme Court. I think they expected the Supreme Court to lay down for him. But even they know that due process is the only thing that makes us different than any other country in the world. And I've said that all along. It's the only thing that makes America different than other countries, because all the other bullshit that happens in other countries happens here. Due process is the thing that keeps them from going full dictator and just jacking you up off the street if they don't like you, or coming down here because they don't like me doing this show. You know, they don't like what I say. I might rile up some people. Man, I wish I could make that camera stop fucking jerking. My friend would say, stop moving around. I'm like, I can't stop moving around. So we we get a better camera. I think even a better camera would. I'm still gonna move around. I can't sit still. See, I did it again. I back up, and then it makes it want to focus. But I can't sit still. I've always been this way. See, there it goes again. God damn it. You got to understand, like I said, and I don't know if you noticed, if today that ICE was running all over LA trying to do raids, but people were there and people were fucking standing up to him. Now, do I think that you should fight? Yeah, probably. Right. Well, Julia says Trump is a direct beneficiary of due process during his trials in New York City. He fucking knows we're entitled to due process. Yes. Due process is what kept him out of jail. What? The problem is, like I've been saying all along, is the system's too weak. Trump should have been in jail multiple fucking times. He should have been impeached. All 3 fucking times they tried to impeach him, he should have been impeached. Nutliggers wouldn't impeach him. But after January 6th, he should have gotten it. And I don't know if you see this. The Proud Boys are suing the government for $100 million, saying that they violated their constitutional rights to a free and fair insurrection. This is a little light treason. In another country, like I said, in a real country, they would have been hanged or shot for treason. And they should be. They should have been, if you ask me. See, this is where I'm not so liberal. I don't care who you are. I don't care if they're left wing or right wing. If you're trying to overthrow the government of the United States, that's treason. We don't charge people with that anymore. But there's plenty of it going around. If you give aid and comfort to the enemy, that's treason. Yes, Julia, what's a little light treason amongst friends? What's a little assault on a police officer amongst friends? You know? These are the pro-law and order people. They love the police. Except those police. Everything they do is so hypocritical. The fact that it's tolerated at all is, I find it amazing. The things that they can say. Like they said, they went on and on and on for years. Hunter Biden is making money off of his dad being the president. And then now Don Jr. is making money off his dad being the president. Well, that's different. They're doing it out in the open, so it's okay. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not okay for anybody. Now, here's the deal. They said that Hunter Biden did all these things. They could never prove any of it again. James Comer was fumbling around for 4 or 5 years trying to find. They couldn't find anything. Now, did they make deals with brown paper bags that nobody could trace? I don't know. But there was no fucking bank records or anything he could find that could prove that they did something heinous, because if they did, they would have brought it, but they didn't bring it. What they wound up doing, they wound up bringing a case against him for signing a fucking gun permit or some shit. Because they don't have it. It's the same thing as this Abrego Garcia case. I'm willing to bet a lot of money that I don't even have. This is how sure I am. Like, I don't have $100,000 to just throw down on the table. But if I did, I'd throw it right down, every penny I had, and tell you that when they go to trial, that they ain't got shit on this guy. Because what they're saying is, like I said, they said, oh, with this investigation, we were able to break up a terrible human trafficking ring, but we didn't think to mention it, or, they spent all this time showing you all these videos of them dragging these people down to the Seacott prison and making a big deal out of it. You think if they broke up a fucking human trafficking ring that wouldn't be all over the goddamn news, and Fox News wouldn't be going, look, we're right. This is what's happening. It's happening all over. Like, that's what they would have done. But they didn't. Why? Because it didn't happen. It's complete bullshit. It's a facade designed to convince you, like I said, that Abrego Garcia is one of the most horrible human beings you've ever seen. And to justify the fact that they violated his fucking constitutional rights and sent him to Seacott prison. Here's something else pretty interesting that I didn't know until yesterday. They said that they don't believe that anybody's ever made it out of Seacott prison, so there isn't a lot of first-person accounts of what it's like inside of there. Now, Abrego Garcia, through these circumstances, becomes like the first person ever to go to Seacott prison and get out. So now he's going to have a story to tell about what happens inside the Seacott prison. That's another reason I think they didn't want to send him back. Was that whatever his name is, the El Salvador president, what's his name? President Bukaki. That's what I was calling him. It's a Bukele. It's a President Bukaki. Gonna have cum all over his face when this story comes out. They didn't want him telling the story, what happens in there. Who knows what happens in there? Have you seen the place? There's 100 and something other people that are trapped there right now. And Judge Bozeman said that they all should get their due process rights as well. Now we're going to find out how that works. But I don't believe that they're going to be able to get out of that either. The Supreme Court said 9-0 that they had to bring back Abrego Garcia. And these other people, they didn't get no due process either. So I don't believe they can take the Supreme Court. And I don't think I think the Supreme Court will side with Judge Bozeman. So we're going to find out how that works. I came on early today because I'm going to some old friends of my family's are having a party. My dad's going. So I'm going to that. It's like I said to you before, you can't live in this 24 hours a day. It's important to be informed. It's important to know what's going on. It's important to stand up for your rights, and it's important to fight back. But don't let it consume you. Remember, life can still be beautiful, and it is. Just being alive is beautiful. Ask people that live in Ukraine right now or other places, they got way worse going on than us. This seems bad, but it could always be worse. That's a universal statement. Somebody said that the other day. I forget what they were talking about. It was like, it can always be worse. It's like, that's a universal statement. It can be applied across all of life. No matter how bad it is, it can always be worse. And you got to remember that. That's how you keep your perspective. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching. I said it had quite the jump in viewership last week. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And people are loyal that come here every day that I go on. And I appreciate that. And please tell your friends about me. I am Bruce Leonard, and this is Bruce Leonard Leans Left while it's still legal. And again, I'll be back Tuesday at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. And again, like I said, Saturday night. Go out, enjoy your life. We'll be back Tuesday. Thank you very much, and good night.